Scary Movie 6 has just come out and I have seen it, and this film parodies so many horror films and other films in the cinematic world that I need to cover for all of you. The film as a whole feels like a big put together of the past 25 years of media, and to be fair, that is really enjoyable. That is also one of the negatives of the film, because that makes it feel a bit janky, but this isn't a review. I'm going to give you every single film that I spotted be referenced in Scary Movie 2026. These are in no particular order, and there is obviously going to be spoilers ahead, so click off if you do not want to be spoiled for probably every single moment and part of the film. Scream 5 and Scream 6 really solidify the baseline for this whole movie, and they are the major referencing points, with there being so many references to those films as a whole during this, so I'm not going to point out every single moment of them, but just don't forget Scream 5 and Scream 6, them being the solidified baseline references. Firstly, we've got Tiana Taylor appearing, and that was really cool to see in the opening, and she references the Scream 5's opening, while also referencing One Battle After Another on multiple occasions, the film she obviously starred in. With that being referenced on multiple occasions, even her loss in the Oscar race, and also her shouting Viva la Revolution as she is leaving the bar. She also beats down Ghostface with her Golden Globe, which I thought was quite cool to see, because though she did not win an Oscar, she obviously won the Golden Globe, so that was a cool little reference there to One Battle After Another. The Final Destination franchise is also referenced in the huge theme park early on in the film, being a spoof of the movies, with roller coasters crashing all over the place, and it being a park that pretty much guarantees death and loads of people queuing up for it, which is quite funny. It also directly references Final Destination's Bloodlines, with the kid who, with the penny, caused the accident that in the original part of Final Destination Bloodlines, where a kid comes out, picks up his penny and goes, "Oh my god, I survived," and then proceeds to be hit by a falling roller coaster cart, which is in reference to in that film where the kid gets hit by a piano. One of the first more niche references I think I noticed was Brenda, the mother of the new generation that's been introduced, and obviously one of the originals from the Scary Movie films. Brenda still wants to be this like cool mum and having these parties, and that is like a direct reference to Ma, the film 2019, directed by Tate Taylor, and I thought that was a really cool, just sort of like more slid in there reference. When we first see Cindy again, she has this very apocalyptic prepper vibe with that look of Jamie Lee Curtis from the Halloween 2018 movie. Her house is also in big reference to the house of a survivor of the incident in Final Destination Bloodlines, which I thought was a really cool reference that I caught again. This one's obviously much later in the film, but Weapons 2025, directed by Zach Krieger, was parodied with the kids eating the drugged candies that Brenda accidentally gives those candies out to the kids, and they sort of run around the streets saying things in their head, being all free, with their arms outstretched like the kids did in Weapons, and then one of them ends up getting hit by a car, which I had a very funny moment. One of the references that does last the whole film again as well is Tuesday, which is in reference to, obviously, Jenna Ortega's character in Scream 5, due to the fact she plays Wednesday in the 2022 comedy series, which I thought was so funny. And they also had sort of a fourth wall breaking moment where she accidentally gets called Wednesday, and there's like, "Oh no, Tuesday, remember it's Tuesday, or else we're gonna get sued," which I thought was quite a funny little moment there, that it has to be specified that her name is Tuesday, not Wednesday, but it is a direct parody of Wednesday 2022. Sinners also has a huge parody and multiple scenes parodied. Sinners 2025, directed by Ryan Coogler. The first scene parodied is Ray, where he has a confession scene about being gay in the church, instead of Sammy going to the church after being attacked by the vampires at the juke joint. However, what makes this confession very funny is that he's constantly there going, "Oh, I'm not going to be gay anymore, I'm going to like women," while doing very suspicious things with the microphone. I'll let you interpret that how you will. The next parody for Sinners is where the three new generation characters are playing the vampires trying to get into the party, doing the sing-song, while Brenda, Shorty and Ray are all at the door going, you know, "Why are we going to let you in?" Very funny parody again of Sinners. There was also a jab at Wicked 2024, directed by John Chu, with the famous shout breaking the window for them to sneak into the party. Also at Brenda's house, Ghostface plays the role of Catherine Keener's character in Get Out 2017, directed by Jordan Peele, in which they do the famous hypnosis scene, putting Shorty into the sunken place. Around this time, there was also a reference to It Follows 2014, in the "you blink and you'll miss it" sort of thing that the creature in that film would used to do, hiding in the backgrounds in brief moments with Ghostface. And then following the Get Out parody, we get a parody of K-pop Demon Hunters, an animated parody, which I thought was really funny, between Shorty and the Demon Hunters, and it is a very sexual parody. You know, Shorty is sleeping with all of the Demon Hunters, and yeah, that was a very unexpected and quite funny moment, again in the film, parodying the 2025 K-pop hit. There is also a spoof to John Wick, with there being multiple references to it in one fight scene between Cindy and Ghostface, with there being a seemingly infinite supply of Ghostfaces while Cindy is taking them out easily with a gun. Also could be references to the ridiculous amounts of Ghostface Ghostface killers in the franchise. But in this moment, there's reference to John Wick's dog being killed and that being character development moment. There's also a really cool scene where it's a breaking of the fourth wall where Cindy's actress is there just going, oh yeah, no, my stunt double's doing a great job, which I quite actually got a really good laugh out of. There is also a reference to I Know What You Did Last Summer in Brenda's house earlier in the movie when they're doing the typical Meeks monologue from the Scream films where they're talking about, you know, is this a sequel, is this a prequel, is this a requel, which I thought was a really cool reference again. And we are really getting to this point where I'm so surprised they managed to fit so many films into this and get them parodied, because wow, there's a lot of them, and these are just all the ones I noticed. Cindy's ex as well, grinning at her in the mental facility, is a reference to Smile or Smile 2 by Parker Finn, and that was quite funny to see because Smile, very good film, and I really enjoyed those. And it was also cool to see Cindy's ex from the previous Scary Movie films as well, taking the place of the character that does that in the mental ward in the Smile films. Megan the Robot from Megan 22, directed by Gerard Johnston, is seen dancing on the train from the famous subway scene in Scream. Megan's then dancing, then it's obviously revealed as a disguise for Ghostface. On this train, there is Halloween costume references galore, and that is again a parody of the Scream film in a sense, because in the Scream film they had this as well. They have Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can see Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, you can see Chucky, you can see Jigsaw from Saw, you can see Pennywise from It, and probably a couple others that I missed, but those are the ones I got from the subway scene, so technically those movies are also included in Scary Movie. Shorty then also has a scene where he summons Candyman, referencing either the 1992 or 2018 reboot film, where he actually summons somebody presenting themselves as Candyman, but then he opens his jacket and it turns out to be a dealer who deals edibles, which I find hilarious, an actual just Candyman. There is also a reference with Gail Hellstorm, obviously the parody of Gail Weathers' Courtney Cox character, doing a parody on The Substance 2024, directed by Coralie Fargier, leaning into a moment where it's, you know, the younger self coming out of the older self body in The Substance, and that then leads into a fourth wall breaking moment with the Wyan brothers' own White Chicks 2004, basically saying, oh yeah, well, you really thought this is all you're getting close to a White Chicks 2, which I thought was quite a really funny scene as well. Don't worry, we're getting to the last few now. Terrifier is also referenced with Art the Clown handing out a bunch of severed limbs. There is also a parody to the Michael trailer. We've got Longlegs 2024 is parodied in the post-credits scene, which I thought was awesome. A genuine, like, really, really long scene with a version of Marika Monroe's character Lee Harker interrogating Chris Elliott's character Shorthand, reprising his role from Scary Movie 2, playing Longlegs himself, which I thought was a cool little post-credit scene to see. You know, just a random sort of sketch-like reference thrown in there. Nosferatu is also the last reference I noticed in this film, 2024, getting a post-credit scene parodying it as Brosferatu, which I thought was very funny, and a little bit of a post-credit scene there. There's also many political events that they parody, but when it comes to the films, these are the movies that I caught. Please tell me if you caught any others. Scary Movie 6 is not a perfect film, don't get me wrong, but the amount of films they cover I find very impressive, and most of them are done pretty well. I really enjoyed and got laughs out of nearly each of these references, some of them being more niche, some of them not being as niche. Very interesting to see how they did it, and please put it down in the comments if you noticed any other references that I missed, because I guarantee you I probably missed some things. Alright, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.